What's God called you to be faithful with? Where has he put you? What part of the body? Are you the foot, the toe, the knee, right? The arm, the shoulder? What part of the body are you? Where can you be faithful? Where is he going to plug you in that you can be faithful? You can add value to others. Because that's really what it's all about. We see so many things about growing, about having a ministry, about doing things and having to grow. And really, if you haven't, Jesus said, I only do those things I see my Father do. I only do those things I see my Father do. And so when we set out to do any sort of ministry, we should have seen our Father do it first. We should have seen this first. We should be searching the Lord about what and where we are and what we should do, instead of just assume everything is supposed to be big and grand and we're going to be the best and we're going to take this, we're going to shake the world. I've really not found that to be the case. I've not found it to be true at all, actually, because what about shaking yourself? What about shaking the person right next to you? What about just being a good friend? What about that? What about just doing what's right? What about that? I mean, that can be a thing. A lot of people talk about ministry, and when they get into ministry, they want to grow the ministry. We want to be a big ministry. But growing a big ministry equals a big responsibility. And I don't know that the same people that want to grow the ministry and be a big ministry want to be responsible for what that entails. Ministry is bringing the gift of God to individuals to lighten and to lift them up, to lift their burden. It isn't self-aggrandizing. It isn't trying to be someone or I'm so deficient that if you think I'm good, then I'm good. It's not about selling books, for goodness sake. It's about giving genuine care and compassion for people, that when we come into a life of Christ, that we can give that life of Christ to someone else. That's what this is about, right? I'm at River City Recovery Ministries right now. I'm in our classroom, and we can seat about 25 people in this classroom. This isn't a big ministry. I've been here 12 years. And we usually have about 75 people go through our residential sober living program a year. That's not big numbers. But what we do in the middle of that is we get to know the people that come here. And we disciple people who come here. And we walk through traumas and pain and issues. And we demonstrate and we show and we practice how to walk out a Christian life coming from a place of destruction. And it's not us that do it all together. It is, we partner with area churches. We partner with area therapists that handle therapy, because we're not qualified. I'm not qualified to do therapy with somebody. We have, right here in town, we have an outpatient treatment. So we partner with them in the outpatient treatment. And we are a part of a whole team of people, part of a group that helps people rebuild their lives. That's what we're doing. We're helping people rebuild their lives. So some cases, just building life in the first place. And so I think early on, I've been at this since 2002. 2002, I went in my first penitentiary, ministered in there, and since then have been working with people at risk. So for over 2 decades, I've literally walked with thousands of people and seen how to help people recover from addiction. It's as simple as that. And so where the Lord has placed me, because here's the thing, you have to go to the Lord first and let him tell you where he wants you. It isn't, we're going to start this and we're going to grow this and we're going to be this. It's where does he want to put you? That's what we're looking. Where it's like being in the Lord's army. When you're a private, when you're a sergeant in the army, you don't get to just pick where you go and what you do. It's up to somebody else. It's up to somebody else higher than you. And so it's up to the Lord where we go, what we do, and how we do things. It isn't up to us. And so I would really caution people new in ministry. Ministry is responsibility. And if you don't handle that responsibility, you have a mess. And the bigger the ministry is, the bigger the mess. And so if we are going to have a significant ministry, we have to have a significant organization. We have to have significant fail-safes that will protect people. Because here's what we've seen lately, is that power without accountability is corrupting. Power without accountability is corrupting. It will corrupt people. It will corrupt people. There's a huge long list of people that it's corrupted. Because what happens is you have a board, right? To have a ministry, to have a 501c, you've got to have a board, and then you have a board, and you come together, and we're all going to do good for the ministry. We're all going to do good. And then the leader, usually, which has been a charismatic person, comes in and does well. And people are attracted to it, and it's a good thing, and everybody's supporting it. But then it seems like if there's not sufficient character, the charisma takes over, and now we have two different things happening. We have a public personality, a public profile, and then we have the inner character. And sometimes it becomes two different people. And when there's two different people, the public person everybody loves, and that's what everybody sees. But when you shut the door, and behind closed doors, you see character. And that's what the board is for, is to hold that leader that everybody looks up to, right? The pedestal sitter, to hold that leader accountable for his actions, for her actions, for what they're doing. But what happens is when the board tries to hold the leader accountable, the leader doesn't cooperate. And what he'll do is vote off the board. He will vote the people on the board off, or he'll get rid of them and then bring in other people that agree with his shenanigans or her shenanigans. And then all of a sudden, what you see over a period of time is a bunch of yes people that are minions or subject to this charismatic personality who is actually running the whole operation out of a a terrible heart, out of a bad place in them. Now, maybe it doesn't start out that way, but I've personally seen it. End up that way. I've taken over a mess that somebody else created because that very thing happened. Someone's very charismatic, and it grew, and then the bubble popped, and then people are just holding the bag, so to speak. And what are we going to do? And it was my job to come in and help put things back together, to put old Humpty Dumpty back together again. And that's what we did here at River City. So ministry is about caring for people. It's about giving to people. It's about others. It's about creating a safe place for others to grow. Creating a safe place for vulnerable people to come and let their guard down and maybe have a touch of the Lord and let the Lord work in their life. And they seek different relationships and healthy people. That's what's supposed to happen. And so this whole thing, the reason I'm sitting here is we can hold like 25 people in this building at one time. We do a class from 9 to noon, Tuesday through Friday. And that's it. And we get to know one another, and we deal with issues, and we deal with them together. And we walk it out, day by day by day. Well, that's ministry. It's annoying. It is so annoying to hear young ministers or to hear ministers say, if you're thinking small, you're not thinking with God. I heard a guy say that this morning. Like God only thinks big. Really? Idiot. God thinks small too. God thinks person. Out of all the people in the world, he thinks of you. And you are pretty small. So, yeah, God thinks small too. It is you go to the Lord and you ask him, what do you have for me to do? That's what we're doing here. We're finding out, Lord, what do you have? And if it isn't to conquer the world and do all these big and wonderful things, well, that's probably just normal. It's probably just normal. The average church, I believe, statistically, in the country, is under 150 people. That's the average church. Maybe some are bigger, 200. And here's the other thing, is that don't be fooled by numbers. Don't be fooled by numbers. Just because someone has notoriety, or just because someone has a lot of people coming to a service or something like that they have their act together. Don't be fooled by numbers. Just because somebody has the seats filled and people hanging on every word, it doesn't mean they have their act together. It does not. Now, it doesn't mean they don't have their act together, but I've seen it a bunch over the last 2 decades that it doesn't mean they do have their act together. And so here's the one thing we shouldn't do, and I think this is where we are culpable, is placing people on pedestals and saying, this guy who has this big following knows what he's doing. And so if I emulate what this guy does, then I'm going to have a big following too, because that's what I'm supposed to do. Well, you don't even know if that's what you're supposed to do. What would you do with a big following? What would you do with more money, lots of money? Do you have a plan? Years ago, there was a minister in New York, that wrote a sermon about, hey, what I would do for $1 million, if I in ministry, if I had $1 million, and he was all set, and he went to church and he gave the sermon. This is me paraphrasing. He gave the sermon, and all of a sudden, next day, a businessman says, "Hey, come to my office." He came to his office, gave him $1 million because he said, "I believe you would actually do what you said you would do if you had the $1 million." So that's what we need to think about. What would I actually do if this came true? What would I actually do with more responsibility? How would I treat people if things went better? Will I still have time? If you are trying to do too big of things and you don't have time for the people you're supposed to serve, maybe you're off track. Maybe that's not right. Just saying. Just saying. We need to make time for the people. We need to please the Lord. And we please the Lord by adding value in the area he said to add value. So you got people like Jonah, right? Jonah didn't want to go add value to Nineveh. He didn't. And so he went the wrong way. Look how that worked out for him. He got eat up by a fish, spit out on the ground. And then he still had to do it, and he still had a rotten attitude. So I think sometimes you know what you're called to do, or you know where God's called you, but no, I'm going to go do things my way. Well, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Here's another thing. Confronting people with love. It says in Ephesians that we need to speak the truth in love. If you're not skilled at speaking the truth in love, in confronting issues and situations when and as they happen, because they will, you shouldn't be leading. If you're unskilled, if you refuse to confront, you shouldn't be leading people. At least in the kind of thing that we do here at River City, where people are getting back from addiction. Because you must do that. You must speak the truth. Even if it's maybe it's a normal ministry, maybe it's not something where I'm talking about at risk, but maybe if it's a normal ministry, nothing. If you can't do that, if you can't speak the truth in love, if you can't uphold God's righteous standard, no matter what, no matter how many people you're going to lose, no matter who it is, you should rethink ministry. You should rethink doing this. Look at Jesus in Matthew chapter 6, right? Matthew chapter 6, he's saying very difficult things. And people are not understanding what he's talking about. And the disciples, they were questioning. They're like, "Hey, man, well, should we really be around here or what?" And they're like, And Jesus says, "What? You going to go too?" He wasn't backing off. Jesus didn't back off. When he confronted the Pharisees, he said, "Brood of vipers." He says, "You're of your father, the devil." So we have to have this conviction within us, this righteous conviction within us that we are doing what the Lord said do. Because if we're not doing what the Lord said do, then we have to take on the responsibility of doing it. And that's a lot of pressure. Whereas, if I'm only being an obedient servant, I'm only doing what the Lord said do, therefore, I don't have to be so concerned with the outcomes because I know I'm following the Lord, I'm following the Holy Spirit, and He's going to bring things to pass. Not me, not my great ideas. So when we look at ministry, we need to look at it with these eyes, look at it as responsibility. I think I was bit by being somebody. Hey, I'm going to be somebody. I'm going to be a minister, and people are going to know that I'm wonderful. And I was bit by that early on in ministry. I didn't know any better. Well, that was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong to think that way. Because, my sponsor in AA, he used to say, Bernie used to say, I have clay feet. I have clay feet. And that means I'm not all that. I'm just not. Because when you are, then if you act like you're all that, then you have to keep it up. Who wants to do that? You have to keep this persona up. You have to keep, and it'll wear you out. It's not a blessing. Whereas, hey, if this all goes tomorrow, great. If this grows, great. I'm at peace already. I have the Lord has me, so I'm at peace with what's already happening. I don't have to push. I don't have to be stressed. I don't have to do these things because I know He's with me. And when I can stay in that place, when I can stay with the Lord, then He will bring it to pass. See, whatever you can get credit for, it's not the Lord. Whatever we can take credit for, well, then that's what the Lord is not there. And so look at it. Look at what you're doing and say, can I get credit for this? Do I get credit? And if the answer is yes, man, you better go get another mirror. Get a mirror and look at it and see what's actually going on. Because the Lord gets the credit. He gets the credit, not us. He gets the credit for that. I'm just in obedience. I'm just doing my duty. I think it's Luke 17. I'm just doing my duty. I'm just doing what He said. I'm not trying to force things. I'm not, another thing is when you have this bigger ministry, well, then you have to pay for it. You have to pay for the people and the things and you have to pay for it. And how are you going to pay for it? Do you know how you're going to pay for what you're doing? Or is the Lord going to bring that to you? There's so many people that have been under stress because they get to a point and they don't know how they're going to pay for what they're doing. And they take that burden on themselves. But, that's a lot of pressure. When we're walking with the Lord, man, it is the Holy Spirit is walking with us. And it's not a matter of what I can do, but it really is. I know it sounds cliche, but it really is. What can He do through me? What can He do through me? And when you realize, you're nothing but a meat sack. You there's nothing here. Come on. And if Balaam's donkey, right? If God can use a donkey to preach, He can use me. He can use you. But if you get to thinking that you're the donkey and you're making this happen, you're an idiot. That's dumb. It's really dumb. Don't do that. I don't make it happen. I've been doing full-time ministry here at River City for 12 plus years, but I don't make it happen. I don't. I get to watch what the Lord does in people's lives. We don't do it alone here at River City. We don't. Like I said, we work with area churches. We work with the local outpatient treatment. We work with the NA and the AA groups. And we work with the therapists that are here in town. We're working with all these other people. It's not just us. And if someone says, well, the Lord will just heal you and you don't need any kind of therapy or something like that, well, you're an idiot. Can the Lord heal you? Yes. Does he? Yes. But just like you go to the doctor for a broken leg, maybe you need to go to a professional for something that's in your heart as well, for that kind of healing. So yes, he can instantly, yes, in time of prayer, yes, in a time of fellowship, yes, we can get over things quicker. Yes, the Holy Spirit can move. But did you know there's some people that can't receive that kind of thing? That they're broken and traumatized? Are you trauma informed? Do you understand how that works? That they literally cannot do it. They cannot do it. They can't receive from the Lord like that because they're blocked up. And so it takes some intervention and people that are trained in doing the right thing, that are trained to help people unwind and take apart those things. So that's part of the process. And we're fortunate enough to be just part of the process. We're just a part. And that's relieving. That's good. I just want to be part of the process. I just want to be on the team. I just want to be on the team. Lord, put me in. Just let me be on. And I am. I'm on the team. I got my part. And I'm grateful for that part. And I'm grateful for all the souls that he has entrusted to us here at River City. I'm grateful for all the souls he's entrusted to us, where he brings people here from all over the place, and they get a chance to get to know him. They get a chance to unwind, and they get a chance to start afresh and start anew. Dude, that's ministry. So is preaching to hundreds or thousands of people. That's ministry too. But here's the thing. You got to know what the Lord's called you to do. And if he said be big, be big. River City's not about being big, at least not yet. It's about serving this county we're in and the 5 counties around us, the surrounding area. That's what we're to do. That's our purpose. That's our function. That's what we're doing. And that's what we're going to continue to do. We're going to work with, we work with corrections, Department of Corrections too. We're going to build relationships. We're going to build relationships with other treatment centers that are further away, because people come here from treatment, from jail, from prison. They come from off the street, right? And people come from all these different directions and all these different places, and we all come together and we introduce them to the Lord, and when we try to add some structure into their lives and show them how to build the structure for themselves so that they can be the architect of their own life, that they can build their own life. And they have no need of these extra programs, but they can go to church and they can go to meetings, and that they can build the life themselves with their family and their friends, and we can break this cycle of addiction. What I mean by cycle of addiction is what's passed down from family to family. They can deal with mental health, whatever is holding them back there, that they can get that resolved, that they can deal with traumas, a safe place to deal with trauma. And trauma is just something that exceeds our capacity. It exceeds our capacity to handle at the time it happened. And so you would think if you see something and it's traumatizing, the issue's not traumatizing, it's the effect, right? But that effect just stays with a person, and it stays there. And if there's multiple traumas, well, then there's multiple, that effect just stays, and that will cause someone to be just ready to fight all the time. And so if we can, relieve some of that pressure and stress and then find the real person who's inside and then release that person, appeal to their goodness and release that person out into the wilderness, so to speak. That they can rebuild and restore and rehave relationship. I mean, that's what this ministry is all about. So be careful. Be careful if you want big, right? It's not about being big. It's about being faithful. It really is. It's about being faithful. So I'd invite you today, what has God called you to be faithful with? This is Randy Stone Recovery. So glad you joined me. God bless. See you soon.